Okay, let's see if the audio is working. I think it is. I'm getting the bars on my computer. Once people come on, if anyone comes on, if you could let me know the audio is indeed working. I think Candy, I have my own little conspiracy theory. Candy pooched my audio so that she could wheedle a second treat out of me because this is how I start all my videos. So shake, lay down, speak, 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 speak. Good one. Get lost. All right. Looks like the audio is working. I had a few people watching the first take of this. Hopefully they'll come on for take two. I wanted to do this video much earlier, talking about this idea of a second shooter. But I wanted to watch the convention, the Republican National Convention as well. And it went on forever. Oh, everyone was talking. I see I have someone on now. If you can tell me if the audio is working, it should be. The meter seems to be working. Let me know if you can in the chat. I would appreciate it. Anyway, that the speeches went on forever. He was introduced by Tucker Carlson, by Hulk Hogan, by Kid Rock, by Dana White, by Franklin Graham, who I think is the grandson or the son of Billy Graham, and just went on and on and on. And then Trump himself, of course, gave a speech, and his was the longest of all. That his speech must have gone on for over an hour. Thought he was very subdued, but I'm going to save my reaction to Trump's speech until the end, because everyone and their grandmother is talking about that right now. And I, probably have nothing really to add. Anything that I say is being said 100 times over. But I don't think there's many people talking about this concept that there might have been a second shooter at the in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday, July 13th, when Trump that bullet famously went through or grazed, or goodness knows. No, I don't think anyone has seen what his ear looks like. I imagine he would have had to have some cosmetic surgery on it, but you would have to think there would be some stitches in there and things of that nature. But this idea of a second gunman or a second shooter, I put out a video just yesterday, about 24 hours ago, talking about this potential. I have that video linked down below. In that video linked below, the video before this one, not including my truncated video that wasn't working for lack of audio. In that video, I share a Times of India news article which cites the University of Colorado at Denver. They have a department that does audio forensics, and so they listen to audio from media outlets. Forensics is all about crime, so they're looking to see if what happened based on the audio. And what this forensic audio department at the University of Colorado determined is that there's evidence of 3 separate weapons being fired on that day, on July 13th, last Saturday. They say one burst is from the AR-15 that this Crooks kid is said to have fired. There's a second audio signature that is said to have been the sniper taking Crooks out. But then they say that there is a third audio signature inconsistent with the previous 2, suggesting the possibility. They don't say definitively, but they say the possibility of a third shooter. And so I put that out there less than 24 hours ago. Hasn't been viewed a lot. My YouTube channel, I've got less than 1,000 subscribers. My footprint is darn near 0. So I was somewhat surprised to see that there's another account, one with called, and the name of the station is Law and Crime Network. I've linked it down below. They have this Law and Crime Network has 5.97, so almost 6 million subscribers. It is the property, or the guy talking on it is a gentleman by the name of Jesse Cord Weber, perhaps pronounced Weber. I'm going to play a clip. I'll play a little bit of what he is saying on his channel about what happened. And sadly, I've got to put up with ads on that video, so skip. So I will play a little bit of that. And what this Jesse Cord Weber is saying is to disregard. Don't pay any attention to that man behind the curtain. You know, disregard any talks of a second shooter, that everything is exactly as it appears. So I'll play a little bit of that. I'm going to share my screen. Takes me a second. Make sure it's sharing. Sometimes there we go. Long Crime with Jesse Weber, or Weber. I assume it's Weber. So let me play the video.
There has been a lot of speculation, rumors, theories surrounding the shooting of former President Donald Trump. And there's one in particular that has circulated a bit. This idea of a second shooter, because the shooter, identified by authorities as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, authorities say he acted alone. The question is, did he? Did he have help? Was there a second shooter, to be even more specific? And I'm going to explain why that theory has circulated a bit online. Now, to be clear, this is a rapidly evolving story, so we are trying to catch up as quickly as we can as this investigation unfolds. And of course, this investigation is being led by the FBI currently. So this past Saturday, authorities say Crooks opened fire during a pro-Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, ended up wounding the former president, as well as critically injuring two other individuals, 57-year-old David Dutch and 74-year-old James Copenhaver. But as we know, this also resulted in the death of 50-year-old Corey Compertor, a firefighter, a married father of two who was apparently trying to protect his family from the gunfire when he was killed. Crooks was reportedly positioned on a roof of a nearby building outside of the event security's perimeter, about 130 to 150 yards away from Donald Trump's podium, began firing an AR-15 style rifle only minutes into the former president's speech. He was instantly neutralized by a Secret Service counter sniper team, although, as we will talk about in a minute, it apparently was not the team that has been photographed, that was in photographs and circulated online, but a different team. We'll talk about that.
And of course, I apologize. Now I have ads.
Hi, I'm Dean Rumpel, CEO of Pledgeway Industries, and today I'm going to take you on a tour of a brand new 2023 On Tour.
Sure, everyone puts up with this.
And authorities reportedly discovered a remote detonator on Crooks's body, as well as remote-controlled explosives, bulletproof vest, fully loaded magazines in his car, which was parked nearby. Investigators also found another vest, explosive materials, and a 3D printer at his home in Bethel Park, 50 miles away, where he apparently lived with his parents. And
sorry for it taking so long, but he is going to get to the report by the University of Colorado at Denver. So let me continue.
According to CNN, a joint FBI and Department of Homeland Security bulletin reveals that Crooks had been receiving multiple packages in the months leading up to the shooting, including those marked as possibly containing hazardous materials. As we previously reported on Sidebar, authorities haven't been able to identify a precise motive for this attack, even though the FBI is combing through the shooter's online history, cell phones, computer searches, and so forth. Although there's also reporting that Crooks had searched online for the date, not only of the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, but also the date of the Democratic National Convention. And according to CNN, Crooks had pictures of both President Biden and Trump on his phone. So it makes you wonder what exactly, again, was his apparent motive, or what were his targets? It's not entirely clear. Now, CNN is also reporting that Crooks had visited a shooting range the day before the rally. Apparently, he and his father were members of the Clairton Sportsman's Club. Then he goes to a Home Depot where he purchases a ladder, then goes to a local gun store in Bethel Park to buy 50 rounds of ammunition. So this is what the allegations are right now. This is what the reporting is right now. So investigators believe in all of this that Crooks acted alone. However, how do we know he acted alone? And let's also talk about this idea of the second shooter, because we're going to try to do our best here to dispel fact from fiction. And for that, let me bring in once again Chad Ayers, former sheriff's deputy, SWAT member, founder of Proactive Response Group. Thank you so much for coming on, Chad. We were first on a few days ago when this first happened, the first day, the Monday after this. Now I have you back. We knew more information. And I think it's important to dispel any kind of misinformation out there, or in the alternative, to suggest there might be something here. So I ask you, based on everything we know currently at this time, at the time of this recording, do you believe Crooks acted alone?
Well, Jesse, first of all, thanks for having me back. I do. Absolutely. Crooks acted alone. And I know we're going to dive into this. Obviously, I think it's important that our viewers, your viewers, understand the power of the internet, the power of social media. You know, that's why I've been saying, I said on Monday, we really need to wait until this investigation is fully completed to start gauging some of this stuff. But unfortunately, because of the times that we live in social media, people are going to start making up stuff. There's conspiracy theorists out here. I get it. Look, if I, as an outsider looking in without the background I have, I would have some questions about some of the stuff that's being reported. And it's very easy to go down that road. But I just encourage the American people to take a step back, let this investigation fall out, and wait until we start getting facts. That's the key word there.
Hey, everybody, by the way, thank you so much for coming to us as we continue to follow the latest developments in the Trump shooting. And one of the reasons we're able to do this is because of the incredible support we get from our sponsor. Promo code SIDEBAR. Rojek says Crooks acted alone and that there are currently no public safety concerns. I know that can always change in an investigation, right? But to make a statement like that, that means something, right? To say, because if they weren't sure he acted alone, they wouldn't make a statement like that, right?
If the Bureau is going to step out and make a statement like that, you damn well better be sure that you've got your facts straight.
I'm going to pause it here. I need to find the part where he talks about the fact that there is this audio report. Maybe it came earlier. I've only watched this once, so I'm going to start it again much earlier.
Was there a second shooter in the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump? Authorities have identified Thomas Matthew Crooks as the man who opened fire that day, but did it help? While there's been some chatter about this, we are going to sort out fact from fiction with Ayers, former sheriff's deputy and SWAT team member. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Say he acted alone. The question is, did he? Did he have help? Was there a second shooter, to be even more specific? And I'm going to explain why that theory has circulated a bit online. Now, to be clear, this is a rapidly evolving story, so we are trying to catch up as quickly as we can as this investigation unfolds. And of course, this investigation is being led by the FBI currently. So this past Saturday, authorities say Crooks opened fire.
Now, I just want to make one point quickly here. This investigation is being conducted by the FBI. I would ask you to consider the fact that the FBI also conducted the investigation into Hunter Biden's laptop, and Americans, well, everyone in the world, but Americans in particular, in the lead up to the 2020 election, were told by the FBI with respect to Hunter Biden's laptop is there's nothing to see here. And as we know now, Hunter Biden has just been convicted, had multiple felony convictions, and that the laptop actually did. It wasn't nothing to see here. There was plenty to see there. I'm going to fast forward on the. If they get into talking about this Times of India report that is based on this University of Colorado.
Well, this with one more thing. That as Fox News has reported, there is that photo of the pair of the U.S. Secret Service counter snipers that we all believed were the ones who neutralized the gunman. But apparently there were 4 counter sniper teams that day, and there was another team that neutralized the shooter. And apparently a member of local law enforcement had also engaged the shooter, so seeming to mean that this local marksman fired a shot. Butler County DA says that this person has been placed on routine leave, which is standard for all police-involved shootings. But I gave you that build-up to say we have these audio characteristics. Now we're learning a little bit more about the sequence of shots. Again, after laying that out, do you believe that leads to the idea that there was a second shooter, or this is more people responding to the shooter itself?
Yeah, I can understand where people are coming. But obviously, the audio acoustics, it can do strange things. We've all been in baseball stadiums when fireworks go off. Or, obviously, I've been involved in deadly force encounters and shootings multiple times in my career. The echo.
I'm going to stop my sharing there. You can watch it yourself down below. They do mention this report. They're referencing it here. This acoustic evidence suggesting the possibility of more than just two shooters, more than just the sniper team and this Crooks kid. But more importantly, there's something else I want to share, and that is, who is this Jesse Weber? Many people in today's world, myself certainly included, have witnessed so much false reporting by the mainstream media. Donald Trump calls them fake news, and they earn that moniker regularly because they regularly engage in misinformation and disinformation. We saw it on steroids during the COVID era. We saw it with the reporting on the Hunter Biden laptop. We've seen it over and over again. They push a narrative, they push a story, and you're not allowed, whatever the narrative is, anything outside of that, they completely dismiss, disparage, like Joe Rogan when he took the human formulation of the anti-inflammatory drug ivermectin. CNN falsely told the world that Joe Rogan was taking horse paste, and they kept saying it over and over again. They were lying to that was CNN. Let's see, who's this Jesse Cord Weber? Is he just this lone? He's got a beautiful podcast, beautiful YouTube channel, far better than mine. He's got all the production values. He's got guests on the whole bit. Well, let me share his own JesseCordWeber.com. He has his own website even. So let me go to the share portion. I've linked this down below as well, so you can look at it yourself. Let's see who is. There's the bio. I think it's showing up on the screen now. And it says Jesse Cord Weber is a host, anchor, reporter, and attorney. Jesse is an anchor and reporter for the Law and Crime Network, founded by ABC News' Dan Abrams. He is the host and executive producer of the nationally syndicated true crime show Prime Crime. He is also the co-host of Always in Fashion, currently airing on 710 WOR and on the iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and Spotify apps. He is a freelance radio host on Sirius XM Radio, POTUS Channel 124, and he serves as a guest anchor for News 12 Long Island and Westchester. Jesse has also hosted crime and justice and live trial coverage on CNN's HLN, as well as Chicago's entertainment talk show, The Jam. Jesse appears as a legal analyst on such networks like Fox News, CNN, ET, CBS, CNBC. I think Donnie Trump Jr. just called them CN Lying BC or something like that. He had a nice little name for them. CNBC News Nation and Dr. Oz. And he was the legal correspondent on Crime Watch Daily with Chris Hansen. Oh, he's also a trained actor. Recently appeared alongside Russell Crowe in Showtime's The Loudest Voice, and has acted in several independent films, including Discovery IDs, Pandora's Box, Saving Carter Collins, Let's Try This Again, blah, 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 blah. I'll leave you to read that yourself. I'll close off my share. Yeah, the Law and Crime Network with this Jesse Weber. And it looks like he's deeply embedded with the mainstream media, with CNN, ABC, and all the rest. Fox News looks very like a very mainstream guy. And now he's telling everyone, apparently, this notion of a second shooter. I don't think it's gone rampant. They're certainly not talking about it on the mainstream news. It's not going to be on ABC, NBC, CBS. Speculation about a second shooter. But to my mind, it strains credulity that this kid, acting completely alone, was able to climb up and get those shots off after having climbed up on a roof, and the adrenaline that must have been going through his system. Yes, he was in the prone position, which is the most stable. I went through yesterday. I've been on firing ranges. I am ex-military, not a sniper, not in the infantry, not in the combat arms, but in the Canadian Forces, there's this saying of you're a soldier first. Everyone's a soldier, whether you're a medic, whether you're a clerk, whether you're the rat op, everyone has to know how to operate the weapon. So you have to be qualified. You have to go into the shooting range every year and fire. Or in the case of my last posting, where I spent the last 6 years, a simulator. It's like playing a giant video game. But the weapon you're holding is it's a electronic version, but it acts and weighs pretty much exactly the same as a real C7 rifle, except it's got a big data cable on it, and you're playing a giant video game. But anyway, even in the prone position, if your breathing is labored, it can cant the rifle. By cant, I mean it can cause the barrel of the rifle to go up and down. You still need to be calm. And to think that this 20-year-old kid who wasn't even capable of making his high school rifle team, and this is covered by this Jesse Weber in his video, that, the kid, he could practice. So they say that he went out a day or two before the shooting and went to a firing range. So you can practice, but practice is nothing like being in a situation where you're at a rally with probably 10,000 or so people. I don't know how many, and with sniper teams around, and security and Secret Service and local law enforcement and everything else, and you able to calmly get off a shot of 100 and somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 130 yards, basically shooting from end zone to end zone of a football stadium. Man. And then, and more than that, going for a headshot, not center mass, not the biggest part of the body, but going for the head, which makes the target even smaller. And to be able to pull it off, which he damn near did, just the year. And to my mind, it strains credulity. I have difficulty believing this. I'm not saying definitively that there was a second shooter, and if there was, I think, might be we might be looking at an Oliver Stone JFK type movie coming out 40 odd years after the event, as happened with JFK, when Oliver Stone's movie JFK came out, and pouring through that Zapruder tape and showing Kennedy reaching at his throat, and then his head getting blown off here, getting shot multiple times. And then you had I think it was Senator Connolly or someone else getting shot. Certainly looked like they were in a kill zone and being shot at from multiple directions. But the Warren Commission said just one guy, Lee Harvey Oswald, acting completely autonomously on his own, lone nut bar. That's the official version. Anything else is a conspiracy theory. And I doubt we'll ever know the truth. If there was a conspiracy, we have the FBI doing the investigation. Well, who watches the watchers? If the FBI was involved in a lot of people say I'm not the first one to make this. I've actually myself never made the claim, but there are voices out there that claim that the FBI was complicit in suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story in order to propel Joe Biden into the White House. And certainly, and that was an FBI investigation. So in something as politically sensitive as this, who's investigating the FBI? Open question. It's the old question of who watches the watchers. And I'm not going to go on too much longer. I wanted to share those. Watch them yourself. Watch that video down below of this guy, Jesse Weber, and then look at his bio. And do you believe it? I mean, do you trust things that are coming from someone who is deeply embedded with the mainstream media? It's an open question. To my mind, it's certainly reasonable to look sideways at anything coming from anyone attached to the CNN, ABCs, CNBCs of the world. If someone wants to look sideways because of an association with those, in my opinion, disreputable news outfits, smart move. Same thing applies in Canada with our horrible media, CBC, government run, government funded. And actually all Canada's mainstream media outlets receive government largesse. They all get tens of millions of dollars. It's something like $300 to $400 million a year are doled out to private media outlets like CTV, like Global, like our newspaper chains. They receive money from the federal government to prop them up because they're unable to compete because no one's buying their products anymore. No one's tuning in anymore because no one trusts them anymore. And so people are openly looking for alternative outlets for news. And that's good and bad because I'm not a trained journalist. And most people are not. Most of these so-called citizen journalists you see, there are rules in journalism. I know some of them. I do not know all of them. I know a tiny section of it. Being a trained journalist is a skill. But unfortunately for our mainstream media, they break the most basic rules of journalistic ethics regularly. They don't investigate. They only present one side of a contentious issue. When it came to the COVID vaccines, the only thing that they would allow is that they sat as judge and jury on something that's outside of their purvey. A media outlet, it's not their job to determine the safety and efficacy of a pharmaceutical product. They're not scientists, they're reporters. So responsible journalism involves taking accredited, well-educated, people with a proper educational background to present both sides. Take people with PhDs in immunology, virology, who believe the vaccines to be safe and effective, and then find equally qualified on the other side who hold a differing opinion, who hold the opposite opinion. And then you present both to the news consumer, and then the news consumer gets to decide. Don't tell us what to think. Give us both sides or all sides if there are multiple, and then let the news consumer decide. But they wouldn't do that. No, they pushed false narratives. Rachel Nadeau of MSNBC said the COVID vaccines, 2 doses will stop transmission. The virus stops with each vaccinated person. That was misinformation, disinformation, and we know that. And she wasn't qualified to give that information. There were people disagreeing with her right at the beginning, but they were shut down. And so completely different arena now, but don't tell me that everything's exactly as you're reporting it. that this Thomas Matthew Crooks, that he was acting completely alone and that he circumvented all the security and surveillance that was, at the grounds and outside the grounds. And it was just failure after failure after failure after failure. And the Secret Service wouldn't go onto that building because it had a slope on it, and all this stuff. I'll just give you my quick little reaction to Donald Trump's speech tonight. I thought it was good. I found his, what I'll call the amplification of his rhetoric. I find he's normally an 8, 9, 10. He's very attack mode. I found he was much more, pulled it back a great deal. I thought he should have ended it far sooner. I thought he went on far too long, but he likes the sound of his own voice, and guilty as charged. I think that's a common character flaw of a lot of people, and I'm guilty of it too. So I'll kind of take that to note and finish off soon here. Thought he could have ended it a lot sooner, but I think he hit a double. Maybe could have stretched it to a triple. I don't think it was a home run, but I don't think he didn't need to hit a home run. He's already so far ahead. He's going to romp in this election unless, if that was, as many are speculating, there is speculation out there that this was a coordinated hit, similar to the conspiracy theory regarding John F. Kennedy. There are individuals who think it was the so-called deep state that took John F. Kennedy out. Well, that same conspiracy theory is existing with this, what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. There are people thinking that it was another coordinated hit, a la JFK, that took place on July 13th. And if that's true, if both of those were coordinated hits, well, the JFK one, the deep state, if that's what happened, they succeeded. And July 13th, they failed. The question I ask is, will they try again? And I think they went after this man so hard and for so long. I think it's possible. Anyway, I'll end it there. Thank you for coming on. Jesse gives details about Diddy lawsuits. He's giving us details here. He's giving us details on what happened July 13th. Just a question of, is he giving the full story or is he only giving one slant on it? And you can watch my video from yesterday, sharing the Times of News India article, or you can search it out, Times of India, second shooter, or you can go to my video yesterday and it's linked in the description. You can take this for what it's worth, but interesting times that we're living in for sure. And I think we're almost in the eye of the hurricane right now. The eye of the hurricane is when things are calm. I think, we went through COVID and, the storm was raging around us. And now we're in the eye of the hurricane where things are calm. But as the storm goes, then the winds are going to hit again. And we're going to be back in the hurricane. And I think it'll be soon. I don't know how soon, but a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months before the end of the year. I mean, November is coming. Anyway, God bless. I'll end it the way I've been ending it. May the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. Keep well in these troubling times. I wish Trump had made a greater statement of faith. That's one thing I will say. He did say it was providential. He does say that, God had a hand in his surviving. But I think a personal profession of faith declaring Jesus Christ as Lord would have gone a long way, because ultimately, who cares about the election in November? There's a bigger war, and it's a spiritual war, and it's a war for your soul. It's a war for my soul. And I would have loved to have seen Donald J. Trump making a bold declaration and maybe bringing some people to Christ. He had a great opportunity. Anyway, God bless. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for